Hello everybody, this is Unit 7, Video 3. This is Miss Moran. We're going to be working on writing exponential equations. Alright, for our first equation, we're going to be given a point and we want to write an exponential equation that is in the form f of x equals a to the x power, and we're given the point 3, 8. So we know that 3 is going to represent our x value. So I have a to the third power, and 8 represents the value of this, or the output, our y value. So from here, if I needed to solve for a, I would solve using the cube root of both sides. So that's going to give me 2 equals a. From this point, I'm going to replace it, and I'm going to write this as a function of x. And it's now the base is 2, and we still have a power of x. This is our exponential equation. For the next part here, we're going to use our equation to evaluate f of 0, f of 1, and f of negative 2. So f of 0 says I'm going to do 2 to the 0 power. We know that anything to the 0 power is 1. Let's try 2 to the first power. That's 2. And here I'm going to use a negative exponent, so I have 2 to the negative second power. Well, that's going to place this into the denominator, so it's really going to be 1 over 2 squared, or 1 over 4. All right, let's try another example together. Here we're going to write an exponential equation in the form of f of x equals a to the x power that contains the point negative 2, 6, and it has an asymptote at y equals 2. Well, from what you learned in video 2, when we have a horizontal asymptote, it's going to be shifted up. Well, so to represent that, I know that I'm going to have f of x equals a to the x power, and it's going to be plus 2 because of my asymptote. If my horizontal asymptote was at y equals negative 5, I'd write minus 5 because that moved it down. So that's just a transformation. Now I'm going to do what we had done in our previous example, and we're going to use 6 equals a to the negative second power plus 2. Again, we're trying to solve for our base. I'm trying to solve for a. I'm going to subtract 2 to the other side, giving me 4 equals a to the negative second power. I'm going to use the properties of exponents because I have a negative exponent. I will rewrite this as 1 over a squared. And again, I have to solve for a. So if I go ahead and multiply both sides by a squared, and then I divide by 4, I'm going to write that over here, I get a squared equals 1/4. Now I will go ahead and take the square root of both sides, giving me a equals 1/2. If you're wondering why I'm not using plus or minus 1/2, it's because we have a rule with our exponential functions, is that exponential functions are in the form of f of x equals a to the x, where a must be greater than 0, but it cannot equal 1. Okay, so this is one way of writing that out. So we say that a has to be greater than 0, but it cannot equal 1. So if I know that my base is 1/2, I'm going to write this as f of x equals 1/2. I have to use parentheses because I want to make sure I'm including both the numerator and the denominator with the exponent of x. And I don't want to forget that we had this horizontal asymptote at y equals 2. So this is my final answer for that function. All right, my next one. This one is going to help us work with some properties of exponents, and it's just really going to be to rewrite it. The purpose of rewriting this is actually going to be to interpret it a little bit better. You're going to use this in not only further sections in this course, but you'll also get to use this idea in your 400 level class next year. All right, so just using properties up here, I'm going to say, well, 1/3 can be to the first power, and because I can separate this, I can actually say that it's really 1/3 to the negative second 2x power. Now, to apply that the property right here. This is just going to remain 1/3, but let's go ahead and fix up this 1/3 to the negative 2x power. And I'm going to say, well, let's apply the negative 2. So I'm going to break it down like this. 1/3 times, to the first power is unnecessary now, to 1/3 squared. Okay, so the negative 2 is actually going to change that. Oops, let's rewrite that. Apologize. Don't write that. Okay, so if I apply the negative 2 power, I would have 1/3 to the negative second all to the x power. So I'm just kind of breaking up that power to a power rule. And now this is going to turn this into a 9. So it's 1/3 times 9 to the x power, because this will flip this upside down and I'll get 9 to the x power. So just we can rewrite it like this, and this shows us that I have a base of 9. 1/3 actually shows us a transformation, like a stretch or a compression, and then I have the exponent. So this is a better way to write this function. All right, so those are all of your notes. I'd like you to take a look at page 417 and try these 3 examples, 82, 83, and 85, and check your answers in the back of the book. You can check 83 and 85 in the back of the book because they're odd. And then go ahead and make sure you log on to your Schoology class and take the Unit 7 Video 3 entrance slip. You'll know where to find that. And make sure that you feel comfortable with the 2 ideas from this, and that was to write an exponential equation given an ordered pair and how to manipulate the exponents.